It's no secret that MMA is trained fighting, and street fighting, more often than not, is just dudes who played a UFC video game once or twice and think they're the second coming of Chuck Liddell. He's not dead, but that's their mindset. In this video, we're going to be looking at instances where MMA and street fighting collide in one way or another, whether it's actual fighters versus brawlers or MMA in a street fight. This is what happens when MMA and street fighting collide. Martial arts have had a long time to become tried and true. Some work, some are purely for aesthetics and relaxation, if you will. Aikido is dope and all, but it's far from effective in an actual fight against someone who trains in real martial arts. When this Aikido guy challenged a fighter, he swore up and down that his Aikido was strong enough that he would thwart the attack of his opponent. Nope, false, so wrong, incorrect, and also bad judgment. This dude got smoked, and the guy didn't even need to lean on his martial arts skill that heavily. What do you think of Aikido? What about after watching this? Let us know down below. Here we've got a 20-year-old street fighter walking into a gym and looking for a challenge. The coach thought that his trained 15-year-old student would be a good test. But let me tell you, if I was 20 getting beat up by a 15-year-old, I'd pack my bags and move about 500 miles away. If you notice anything about street fights, you notice that they often are missing two things: technique and cardio. Sure, you can be in shape, but if you don't know how to control your breathing while hitting and getting hit, now you got a minute in you tops. The 20-year-old was getting worked the entire time, but those body shots really had his gas tank hurting as much as his ego. This is high-level stuff from the 15-year-old, and an incredible learning lesson for the 20-year-old. Shout out to Chris Torina for posting this on YouTube. Check out his channel and give him the credit he deserves. While you're giving people credit, how about showing some love on this video? Hit the like button if you're, liking the content. I know it's early. To make sure you don't miss any future uploads, subscribe and make sure notifications are on. Back to the action.
Let's go. Break.
Speaking of martial arts that work, we've got jiu-jitsu. This stuff is very legit and has prevailed over any martial art that you can name. Granted, there are martial arts that give it a run for its money, and ultimately, it's best to know a little about a lot rather than a lot about a little when it comes to being a well-rounded fighter. The guy in the purple here knows his grappling though. He kept calm and composed, didn't really rush anything, and got a pretty decent armbar while under pressure. You can tell he's pretty good because he only put just enough pressure on the submission to get the tap and not hurt the guy. He also let go right away, which a lot of people can get caught up in the moment and crank a submission for too long. This guy might be my new favorite street beefs fighter.
Oh yeah. Stack him, Cam, stack him.
I'm not going to pretend like this is what a good MMA fight should look like. None of these dudes are really the quintessential fighter, but one of them has a few MMA weapons in his bag, and that's enough to make it to this video. These dudes are going at it. Though a bit sloppy, this is more effort than a lot of people have put into fighting, so we can't judge too hard. The guy in the white shirt does seem to have a little bit of leg dexterity. He puts that flexibility to work in the waning seconds of this fight. He lands a head kick that cracks his opponent's chin and puts him down. The fight was called shortly thereafter. Shout out to Street Beefs for posting this footage and setting up this fight.
Wow. He's out.
Break.
Another time when Street Beefs put on for us was when this dude landed a spinning wheel kick that just grazed his opponent. Now, landing it hard would have more than likely slept him, but just grazing with it does damage in a different way. Nobody wants to get put to sleep, especially not in highlight reel fashion. Now, this guy's just thinking about that kick and how to not let it get close again. Once you make someone think too much in a fight, that can very well be the beginning of the end. Once again, there's nothing quite like getting hit with a head kick. It'll put you to sleep, but if it doesn't do that much, then it'll definitely have you thinking about it for the rest of the fight. Additionally, it's not common knowledge on how to defend a kick. It's not like a punch where you can eat it on certain parts of the head or block it with one hand. There's a whole lot of mass headed your way when someone fires a shin bone at your face. This is another clip provided by Street Beefs. Be sure to check out that channel for more content like this. Kevin Holland is one of the most talkative fighters in the UFC, and that's not just on media day. This dude is yapping away online and in the cage as well. That brings a lot of attention, which is divided between love and hate. So when haters let delusion get the best of them, they challenge Holland, who welcomes it with open arms. And obviously, what you see here is Kevin having fun with this troll while also putting him in his place. It takes a lot to get in the UFC, let alone be a winning fighter in the promotion. So I don't think any scrub from the street is going to walk in and give Kevin a run for his money anytime soon. Okay, don't come at me too hard, but the training to be in the military isn't like all that. There's no blue belt requirement to be a Marine or anything like that. So when Paddy Pimblett did a visit to a base and grappled with some of the troops, it went about as well as most people would think for Paddy, and that's pretty easy. The baddie was hitting triangles, arm bars, rear naked chokes, you name it. Paddy was subbing with it. Overall, this is a great experience. Most people would love the chance to grapple with Paddy. That is, fans like me. This footage comes from Paddy Pimblett's own YouTube channel. Give him some love and like his video. How do you think you'd do against Paddy? Let us know down below. Again, I'm not one to judge a book by its cover, and I don't judge one by the way their body is. However, there's a telltale sign in a trained fighter, and that usually lies in the ears and the physique. Most people who train and are good are usually in at least half-decent shape. This challenger, shirtless and in the red shorts if you need a clarification, was not a fighter by any stretch of the imagination. The dude was aggressive, and for no reason. He ate everything that the trained fighter threw at him. And let me tell you, the fighter wasn't going lightly on this guy. He was actually trying to teach him a painful lesson. And if you want to teach a painful lesson, head kicks and knees from the clinch are some incredibly efficient tools to do it. This challenger didn't stand a chance. In fact, he was barely able to stand at all when everything here was said and done. MMA Top Shots posted this on their YouTube page. Give them some credit and look them up after you finish here. It's not a far-fetched thing for a street fighter to walk into a gym and challenge someone who trains. In fact, it's more frequent than one would imagine. The dude in the gray shirt here is a self-proclaimed successful street fighter, and he wanted to go 100% with a trained boxer. Well, against his better judgment, he got his wish. The boxer lit him up like a Christmas tree. Granted, the street fighter was trying to match the boxer's spunk, but that's about all he had a chance of matching. His hands are trash, and he used his face as a shield, which is a unique style of defense, I guess. The boxer seems to be going a bit easy, though. He has a lot of pop on his punches, but if he wanted to starch the guy, he could have easily done it in the opening seconds. Shout out to Lorenzo Trevian for this footage. And well, this one is gnarly. It's like two guys who've done one class each went at it in some street fight scenario. One thing we don't really account for in MMA is the headbutt. A lot of people who don't train think of the headbutt as their secret weapon, but largely it's not efficient unless you're a Lethwei trained fighter who specializes in using headbutts to score knockouts. Well, this guy got the knockout that untrained fighters dream of when they think of getting into altercations. And I can't even hate. This knockout was pretty sick, even though I was rooting for the other guy since he looked like he knew at least a little about Muay Thai. One term we throw around a lot when dealing with new white belts is spaz. That's not just for jiu-jitsu though. As we can see here, the guy challenging a Muay Thai fighter is spazzing uncontrollably. If this was a video game, this dude is smashing buttons at random and not really doing anything right at all. Though he's making a lot of mistakes in the ring, the biggest mistake of them all was showing up in the first place. The trained Muay Thai fighter had finally had enough and decided it was time to press on the gas. And as a result, head kicks galore. The Thai fighter used his special tools, that being a great kicking game, and made the challenger regret having access to a phone or the internet, or however he challenged this fighter in the first place. Friendly reminder to hit that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. Share the video and help us grow the channel. We really do appreciate it. Thanks for showing some love. Street Beefs offers a wide variety of action. Sometimes it's embarrassing how little people know about fighting, and other times we get to see a bit of a chess match between some guys who know a thing or two about boxing. The latter is what we see here. These guys are clearly trained to some extent. It's one thing to hit a bag with technique, but to bring said technique to an actual scrap and stay true to the boxing knowledge is a level that only drilling and sparring can ingrain in an athlete. And now I'm gassing this up. This is far from professional, but it's good to see relative to some other street fights we got going on the video.
Go ahead.
Okay, another Street Beefs fighter we need to give credit to is the guy in the black gloves here. It seems he's got some MMA experience and is using that fighting savvy to chew up his opponent. He's controlling the cage, or fence, or yard, whatever you want to call it here. He's making his opponent fight as his temp, and also, he's throwing some pretty sick head kicks. While anyone with a trained eye saw this kick coming from about 40 yards away, it's pretty legit in a street fight scenario. Kudos to this guy and again to Street Beefs for putting this action on. If there's anything that's intimidating to someone who doesn't train, but not at all to someone who does, it's showing up to a fight with a white belt that has no stripes on it. That's the belt you get for signing up for the class. However, this guy ended up doing pretty well. He got boxed up early on in the fight, but came back in the later rounds. His opponent was tired and had no answers for the kicking game. He also dipped his head to his left every time offense was coming his way. His white belt opponent read this super late in the bout and threw a sloppy tornado kick that landed right on the dome. Like, this tornado kick was very sloppy. Maybe like a high wind warning kick. But calling it a tornado kick is a bit much.
9, 8, 7, 6.
Now, this is what I think street fights or unsanctioned fights should be. As a firm believer in everyone training at least one martial art, this stuff is cool. Seeing a boxer go up against a jiu-jitsu guy is always fun, since it's such a clash in styles. While it's easy to defend a punch or two, it's really hard to defend jiu-jitsu moves with no knowledge of how grappling works. We all know how to move our head to some degree, but who innately knows to tuck their elbows in to roll out of arm locks? So yeah, it went as expected. The jiu-jitsu dude secured a takedown and snatched an arm. Walking into a 10th Planet jiu-jitsu gym to challenge an instructor is a whole new level of stupid ways to spend a free evening. Like what? It's hard to tap into the brain of someone else, but not doing this seems to be common knowledge. Maybe this guy watched some fighting movies and thought that he was a chosen one for the UFC. I don't know. All I know is that he's very lucky to have challenged a coach who didn't want to hurt him. And yeah, as you can see here, this challenger knows not one thing about fighting. He's taken down at will, and it's probably easier to beat this guy up than it is to warm up for class. The warm-up to the warm-up, if you will. I don't care about preconceived notions anymore. I will never again judge a book by its cover, and I'll never think someone is a bad fighter based on appearance again. This dude in the cheesy kimono has made me a better person. Never in a million years would I have expected this guy to land a lead leg roundhouse kick to the chin in the opening moments of his bout in a street fight. And that kick was a knockout shot, mind you. It sat his opponent down and won him the fight. This is what fighting is about. Skill, respect, but also showing people what's up when you need to. I'm glad it wasn't me out there, because I totally wouldn't have seen that coming or expected it. How do you feel about this knockout? It's got to be one of the best in a street fight we've seen in a while, right? The guy here in the black is definitely a trained striker. His strikes are clean, and from point A to point B, his movement is calculated, and he does everything with a purpose. He's very sharp, and his opponent, well, is not. He lets his opponent move forward, but only into a brick wall that's a roundhouse kick to the mouth. This knocked the taste out of his mouth for a month. The guy's jaw went on strike after that. Speaking of strike, the worst strike to eat to the face? Gotta be a head kick. Very solid talent recruiting, Street Beefs. Bravo.
Hit the inside of that leg. Oh! That's it. That's it.
And as we wrap up this video, we'll answer the age-old question. Do muscles make up for a lack of fighting skills? No, not at all. Sorry, Bradley Martin and Bradley Martin types. This bodybuilder challenged a coach and got dealt the heaviest load of disrespect I've seen dished out in forever. The coach is obviously talented, and he knows that, so he's going about 20% here. Muscles don't translate to fight IQ. Sure, you're strong, but what's strength gonna do when someone's making like a boa constrictor around your neck? Not a lot. That does it for the video. How'd you like the content? Let us know down below. Be sure to like the video and share it. It really does help us out. What do you guys want to see next? Let us know. Subscribe and hit that bell icon to make sure you never miss a future upload. Catch you next time.